So let's go over our next build here, which is going to be our tank set. My tank set is currently a medium armor tank set. It is probably in no means a professional tank set, but this is just a fun little tank set I found using the Twin Sister set. So what I'm using on our headset here is Blood Spawn on our head and shoulders here. So you can see this gives us stamina recovery and a chance to recover, give us ultimate, and also give us armor and spell resistance. And it has a little bit of a cooldown here, but it is going to be used quite often if you're going to be tanking anything. Twin Sister set is an interesting set. It is currently a 5-piece set when blocking, 20% chance to cause the attackers to bleed for 8,000 plus damage over 8 seconds. Attacker has to be within 5 meters though, which is kind of a drawback. I really wish they would increase this up to maybe 10 meters or so, because you take a look at a lot of melee abilities, a lot of them are between 7 to 10 meters as it is. I can probably post something on the forums on that a little bit later, but hey, you guys can take a look at that later. In addition to that, I'm also using footman set here. Footman set has a 5-piece bonus here to increase our block mitigation. This also increases our physical and spell resistance, which is kind of nice, and increases our health as well. As you can see, I'm using the footman jewelry, as well as the footman shield here, and then the footman belt. And as for our axes here, I am using the axes of the Twin Sisters here, which gives us hardened shield when we use it. Now onto our simple tank PVE builds here, or bars here. Our off bar here, I'm using typically Inner Rage, Extended Chains, Caltrops, Elude, and Green Dragon Blood. Since we're going to be a little bit low on Magicka, Inner Rage is going to be my off one here, and I will use Chains if I have to. However, I really dislike doing that simply because it will have issues if I try trying something and I'm out of stamina out of Magicka to use Green Dragon Blood. I will use Elude to give myself a little bit of extra evasion, but really the off bar I put on Caltrops here because it pulls in almost everything in the room. If you're a tank, I do recommend that you spend the time in PvP to at least get Caltrops, because it will give you the entire room's aggro without having to use repetitive taunts to get them in. But on our main bar, we're going to be using Ransack, which is going to give us extra armor. Heroic Slash, which gives us extra ultimate. Absorb Magic, which will help us mitigate a lot of damage when we're blocking, and also help us absorb anything that we're getting from people's attacks. Hardened Armor, which will increase our armor and also spell resistance, and Green Dragon Blood. Now I keep Green Dragon Blood on both bars here, simply because it's a great heal and I need something I can use. I do find myself typically running out of more Magicka than I do stamina. I wish I had Vigor, which is a PvP ability. However, it does take a while to get this ability here, way down here. It will be changing in the future, but that's our currently Assault rank 10 ability, so I have to do a lot more stuff inside PvP to do this. Now, typically for potions, I do recommend using tripods. Tripods will give you back your health, your magicka, and stamina to do this. Now, currently on our stats here, I will run about 23 to about 15 on stamina. But when I tank, I typically will use food. That will raise up our stats here. Let's take a look here real quick. To about 27, 90, 19. And our mitigation is about 23-20, which will get us through most regular dungeons and through some veteran dungeons as well. Being a vampire, I'm probably also weak at fire. I could also load on something like Mistform. Only problem with Mistform though is your immune to heal ability is what it's on. It's extremely limited on some of the stuff that you can use it on without having to worry about them losing aggro to something else. And also you also risk reducing your magicka to such a point that you can't get yourself back up with it. Good things with this though, your stamina recovery is extremely high with this because you have it with the armor sets, and you can do a lot of damage simply by blocking here and dealing with other enemies like this. You're using hardened armor, which also returns physical damage. And when you block like this, you can be getting a couple others if you have the right champion points into it. Currently, I don't. I'm currently building that up, but hopefully, in the future, I'll have that to show off as well. So this is typically what you look like when you're inside of a PVE fight. A few other things you can change as well. You can swap the shifting standard over for your corrosive, which I think is ultimately a little bit better. But shifting standards is kind of nice simply because it can bring everyone together. You can go with the Corrosive Warhorn because you're going to be getting ultimate very quickly with this type of build. In addition to that, sorry if I meander over here a little bit. Which one am I missing? You can also go with Barrier, which give an extra one on top, extra barrier on top of it as well. Now, if you're going to build for tank builds, I probably want to go with a medium armor tank like this. I would probably go with heavy armor instead. But the other good thing with this is the PvP side of it, which I kind of actually find pretty fun. Now, on our primary bar, I'm taking off our taunt and I'm putting on extended chains. The good thing with extended chains now is you can pull enemies in toward you, or you can go to them. So basically, it's a push-pull type of thing. I couple that with the Devouring Swarm. So if I know that somebody's immune to the chains, I'll pop the Devouring Swarm and I'll just chain right to them. This is a great way that I found that I can get up to a lot of Sorks that are trying to get away and simply keep on damaging them. Heroic Slash I keep on because it's a good way to keep people down, reducing their damage, and also to reduce their movement speed. Absorb Magic is a really fun ability inside of PvP. What most people do is they will spam Meteor to the ends of the earth. Absorb Magic confuses the fuck out of them because when you come up here and you see me just sitting here like this, they don't pay attention to the fact that I just did Absorb Magic. They'll cast that ability and basically give me health back. And they won't bother using anything to try getting rid of it, you know? With the Absorb Magic, the ability will still be down under my feet here, like I've actually got hit by the meteor. But a lot of people will just kind of take a look at it and be like, whoa, his health did not drop at all when he did that. What the hell's going on here? You know, Absorb Magic is very overpowered, and it is a very quick cast, even faster than, say, your Dragon Wings, and it actually gives you health back. With a stamina build like this, I definitely do recommend it. Hardened Armor, again, this is another good ability simply because it gives you the Major Resolve and Major Ward to increase your armor and spell resistance. I like to go with the version that also gives you the damage shield. Simply because if somebody's trying to jump on top of you and kill you really quick, they're going to be looking for a lot of crits. This is going to prevent at least one of those crits from getting on top of you. Now on the other bar, I'm using Invasion, simply because I want to get another closer to get onto enemies. This is usually a pretty good one. I'm using Burning Breath. I could swap this over with a couple other abilities, like Puncture would be good, Unstable Flame. However, this is more of my AoE type of, dealing with a bunch of enemies on and charging in on. Dragon Scales I will use on this one here, simply because if I have to deal with a lot of archers, this Absorb Magic will not work on them. However, Dragon Scales will, and usually have to only use it 2 or 3, but until they stop using their bow and they start coming at me in melee. Elude is a nice one because it gives us Major Invasion, which will increase our dodge chance. And then Green Dragon Blood again. Again, if I had the ability to get Vigor on this character, I would absolutely use it. It is such a nice ability to use. In addition to that, Corrosive Armor lets me stay up for a long time, especially when people are raiding into a keep there and you're trying to keep them down. This is probably one of the better ways I've seen to use it. So this one here as well, you got to use tripods. If I haven't mentioned that as well, it's tripods inside most of your PvP stuff. But hopefully you guys can stay alive here a little bit longer here. And most of the stuff here is pretty underutilized, so you may be able to find some of it for cheap. Footman is like way overfarmed, and Twin Sisters has really lost its flair since the 1.6 patch. So maybe you guys can find a couple a little bit more fun with it. A few other classes I might be able to use this is maybe a Nightblade or a Stamplar, or Templar I should say. I could see a Templar using this pretty well, especially using the Twin Sisters, but I'd really recommend going with the Sword and Board, at least on one of the bars, because the Sword and Board really helps you give that block, so as soon as you get the damage on them with the bleed, you can stack up other things with that as well. But hopefully you guys can take that and use it as you need to. Okay guys, in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed that little build video, and I hope